Creativity was the biggest thing for you, and that like this is where everything starts. Welcome back to Christina's Garage Gearhead in Training. Today I'm going to share the interview that I had with Jason from product development at Vintage Air. He has such a cool story to share that I didn't want to clip it up to put it in the shop video. I wanted to make a solo video just for him. I'm with Jason. We're starting in research and development, and I'm just so excited. Can you explain a little bit about like your background and what you do here at Vintage Air?
Sure thing. Yeah, if anything, I'm a newcomer for Vintage Air. I just started about less than a month ago. But my prior work history has done with hands-on with automotive work, with fabrication and welding. I started about 8 years ago as a TIG welder. I mean, I went to a community college here in San Antonio, Texas called St. Philip's College. Definitely recommend it for the youth. Trade work is a big time thing. It's never going to end, I would say. And when I kind of stepped forward in that position, I was very scared and nervous about, do I have at least a good steady hand? I mean, I'm not a doctor, but, a little bit of just kind of growing up over the years from a kid up to now, I like playing with Legos. I like playing with Hot Wheels. It was just a matter of kind of implementing my imagination to something to become reality. And so at that point, once I stepped forth to the world of, welding, it opened so many opportunities, but also different perspectives of what I can do with that, just that skill set in the trade. And once I kind of stepped into the doors of, job opportunities, my first welding job was with food trucks. And so I was actually, and that's another local company here, where I was basically facilitating water tanks, putting my what I learned at school in practice into now, clients' vehicles and clients doing the metal work to execute these cool projects for just, basically the client's imagination as well. So helping their imagination come to life, I mean, they saw a fulfillment of like, man, these are talented workers. And especially if they're young, they're like, where do these guys come from type of deal. And then from there, I went to working at a motorsports shop after that. That's where, I started to be more diverse with the welding, doing more exotic materials such as stainless, aluminum, titanium, magnesium, chromolyes, and that's where I got really more excited because I was like, I can finally do the things I work on and I love the most, which is cars. So it was a bit of a mix of hot rod heaven, but also, creativity and my imagination to be applied to. So from there, I mean, I guess, I started getting more of the hands-on and building that experience to know what to expect or what to avoid to, making a custom product for somebody. After the motorsports shop, job, I went to work at the Toyota plant. And as I was saying, that holding that position, even though it was only about a half a year run, it really cemented this idea. I was like, if I can not only apply my fabrications and this creativity, but also do it now in the sense of precision. And I think that's kind of like the main goal for me too, and being excited for what I do is to create a product, try to do it right, it's not going to be done right the first time, but in a way you keep refining it and refining it till you hit the peak point of what's achievable and what can also be done within the numbers in a sense of mass production, so that it doesn't overly complicate the process of getting something from the raw material to now a final product. And somewhere in between there, you want to make sure they mesh really well. So that's the idea when it comes to this type of work that we do at Vintage Air. It's creating prototypes and making sure that it's not only just real, but it's also, affordable in a sense, and it can be out to the public for anybody's needs. And with, with AC systems, especially here in Texas, you can't go wrong with having a good AC system. So I've heard of Vintage Air for quite a long time through Summit Racing, Jegs, even Motor Trend, big hot start kind of companies like that, to where it was always in my mind for a couple of years. And now I don't have to really kind of break my back so hard because everything's done on a computer CAD program, and we use Creo Parametrics here. There's other programs that other people like to use to their preferences. Here, Creo Parametrics seems to be, mated well with everything and all the systems. So a complete overhaul probably wouldn't, be justified just yet, but it works right now really well and everybody's really comfortable with it. But no, I mean, I think we all share a very, same commonality, and that is, making a good product, making customers happy, and facilitating their needs. That's what I love the most, is seeing the appreciation of customers telling us like, man, you guys did great work. Like even for a bracket system or a bracket setup that I made for a Ford Bronco and F-Series trucks, they use the same front radiator support, and the bracket The challenge was making sure that it was interchangeable between two vehicles, even though the radiator support shares a lot of similar features, but there's different methods on how the radiator is mounted. So the condenser that a lot of clients now or customers want to use is the heavy duty condenser, bigger scale, meaning more cool down heat exchange. So then they'll have a cooler air system in their car. So the goal is to making sure that bracket will not only work for a Bronco radiator support, but also for a Ford F-Series support. And once I kind of saw what issues they were having, what the type of technical issues over the phone calls they were having, I kind of just had to stare at it long enough, and I'm like, okay, what would I do as a metal worker if I just didn't have this stuff? And if anything, I didn't really have to kind of go from scratch with like a cardboard. Some people like to use cardboard or paper, but once I kind of imagined it, I was like, okay, now let me translate that to now a program. And if anything, you don't, I guess you could say a worker is only sometimes as good as their equipment. So if I didn't know how to come up with it in my mind, then knowing this program wouldn't really help either. If I just said, if I understand the principles of what it means to just mount up a condenser, then apply it to a program, then I can actually use the full potential what the program has to offer if I know how to use the program. And that's what I did. I mean, I brought it to life, and so far it's looking like it's going to work perfectly. Like I said, it's interchangeable and compatible for each other. So now once we punch out this new product out into the public, customers will be happy knowing, oh, I got a Ford F-150 or 250. But then you have another customer's like, I got a Bronco, and they will be shareable for both vehicles regardless, and they won't have any fitment issues.
You mentioned with the creativity was the biggest thing for you, and that this is where everything starts.
Pretty much.
Is all in here. You guys come up with your creativity and plug it into the computers, and each one of you guys are all working on different projects?
Yeah, right. Everybody gets at least some sort of a foundation of what vehicle to focus on.
Okay.
So I believe Billy here, he's working on the Chevrolet Bel Air and also a El Camino. Nate's focusing on the Ford Mustang Fox bodies. Yvonne, he's kind of the number guy. He helps facilitate the part numbers that we're going to be getting. So everybody, when we're processing and developing a product, that each one's going to have an identity so that we can kind of update it to inventory and bill of materials, so everybody else in other parts of the building can basically get that information and know how to kind of keep the ball rolling, so there's no hiccups or some sort of speed bumps, and basically it can efficient the process to push a product out to public as soon as possible. So no, he's doing that. There's the guys in the back. I mean, they do the 3D designing for the molds. So a lot of the air duct work, like something like, even if that's part of the program that I'm still gonna have to get familiar and new to. But we have guys here who already do that type of work. So you basically give them that type of stuff. They're really good at it to where like I said, they can make it happen within a couple of days. And when we punch it out, it depends on two methods. It's either raw cast aluminum, or if it's small enough in scale, we can machine. We have the equipment and the resources to CNC manufacture that as well. So it's just everybody plays a big role. Everybody here has their part to do, but we are very much a team effort. The way I like to see it, and it's just what makes me very passionate being here. It's like it's almost being part of the pit crew. Everybody has to do the role, and just to get the car in and get it out of to the race. I guess you could say my biggest inspiration for all this stuff is just keeping the vintage, the age of these vehicles going. Basically, they're never going to die in a way, I would hope. And it's kind of keeping that tradition of these vehicles on the road, so that when you see one going down and the guy has the windows up, it's like, oh, well, he's doing something right. Keeping himself cool.
Thank you so much, Jason. I really appreciate it.
Pleasure, yeah.
I hope you loved Jason's interview as much as I did. His story and his passion about what he does just absolutely blows me away. The really cool thing is that there are a lot of people like this that work for Vintage Air, and I have the opportunity to go back for their open house in May so that I can actually do more interviews like this. If you guys loved it, please let me know in the comments, and I will see you next week.